Welcome. All right, welcome to the premium. Once again, I don't think I've ever done a psychology video for you guys on the premium Discord. I've obviously posted a lot on YouTube, on Instagram. You know, psychology is a big part of my life with trading. But what I will say is I haven't really given you guys some like direct tips for the more premium members or any strategies that I have to stop going on tilt, to stop doing any dumbass shit. So let's talk about it, right? So first things first, when you're going on tilt, when you're doing any of these things, when you're, what's it called? Over leveraging, over risking, over trading, anything like that. If you're doing any of these negative things, it's usually for one of two reasons, and it's two things that can summarize a lot of financial shit in general, whether it be trading or banks or anything, and it, also just is human psychology, and that's fear and greed. You've probably heard those two terms together all the time. If you go on CNN, there's literally a fear and greed index which describes how the market is moving and describes, okay, S&P 500 moving average, where's the fear, where's the greed, meaning if we have extreme greed, that means that we're overbought. If we have extreme fear, then we're oversold. Doesn't really have anything to do with the psych, but I'm just showing you it's a popular term. So let's say you're in a trade and you're like, okay, like this trade, I know it's not a good trade. I know it's not a good trade, but I'm one trade away from a payout. I'm one trade away from passing my account. I'm one trade away from, really starting to change my life. I'm one trade away from getting more accounts. Shit like that. You will take a trade that is worse in probability, worse in quality, worse in everything because two reasons. One, you're greedy. You really want that reward. You want that payout, stuff like that. And two, you're fearful. You're afraid of blowing the account, of, not making it, of more and more time. And, you're impatient. So that's why fear and greed are so important. And you need to be able to set those aside. When you think about trading like a robot, I mean, if you watch my videos, I celebrate when I win, and I get annoyed when I lose because I'm a human being, and human beings have emotions, and you cannot just trade like a robot because you aren't a robot. There is no doubt about it that you're going to feel worse in your day if you take a loss than you will taking a win. It's just a fact, and there's nothing you can do about it, but at the end of the day, nobody fucking cares about feelings with trading because the market's not going to care, the prop firm's not going to care, the account balance isn't going to care, NASDAQ's not going to care about your feelings. At the end of the day, it is all about can you execute regardless of what you're feeling, regardless of if there's a payout on the line, stuff like that. I have some notes. Here's a psychology tip for you guys. Let me see if I could. If you look around, you see all these flashcards on my desk. So, I have a couple things. I have all these flashcards. Let me enlarge this a little bit, put it in the center. So, I know it's a weird angle, my bad. But I have all of these flashcards that are telling me, okay, every setup I force, I pay for. Every setup I wait for pays me. That talks about patience. That talks about not being scared of the outcome of each trade and not being scared of losing. I have one loss is greater than blowing accounts, which we'll get into in a bit, but that is true, obviously. And then expect no trade today, 80% proven win rate. You already know how to be profitable. Real trading is boring. Just reminders, subtle reminders that I can look at to myself. And I also have a stress ball that I use when I'm trading. So usually when I hop in a trade, because there's really no stress when I'm analyzing, I'm just bored. So I'll just be on my phone and shit like that. And I saw a video the other day that said, let me lower this a bit. I saw a video the other day that said, trading is so fun, but the reality of trading after you get good. And it's like just a dude chilling on his phone the entire session. Like, it's like, 90% of the time, 10% of the time is executing. And that's a fact. A lot of the times, trading is just going to be straight up waiting to execute your strategy. And that's why I think it is such a good idea to get a model. You need to get a model. You need to have a checklist. You need to have a certain set of things that you are doing every single day and that you are following to a T, whether it's mechanical or whether it's discretionary, like you're looking for the same shit and you have an idea of bias, drawn liquidity, stuff like that, or you have that checklist. You should have a model because then trading gets so much easier. It gets way more boring, but would you rather be bored and rich or would you rather be chasing dopamine and never able to get a fucking payout? All right? That's why so many traders fail, that 90 to 95% fail statistic, is because think of who trading attracts. Okay, fast money, up and down, excitement, all the dopamine rushes, all of that shit. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like gambling. It sounds like poker, blackjack, casino, anything like that. So when that sports betting, any of that shit is going to get people who really fuck with that to join. There are people who I have talked to personally and online, and I've gifted them my strategy. I've shown proof of me executing it. I've shown how to manage risk, and that's what I do for you guys as well. You know, I've broken down my strategy. I'm always available for the premium to answer questions about technicals. I live trade every single day. I, answer questions, like I said, tell you how much to risk, tell you how to scale up. If you really are in this premium, there is information on how to become a profitable trader, and you're watching me, a profitable trader, bring all that information together and execute every single day. So if you're in my premium, there's zero excuse, because we got a bunch of guys who are doing it alongside with you, and you got me who's doing it and helping you guys along the way. And if you feel that's not the case, just DM me on Discord or type in the premium chat, and I bet you I'll respond to you in at least a couple hours. With any questions. That's just how I'm trying to be for the community. That was enough self-glaze, but what I'm trying to say is the reason why so many people fail is because they don't care about all of the shit that they know will make them better. That's like when you think about, okay, I'm in this trade, I know it's a bad trade, but I don't care because if I make money, if it goes well. Nobody thinks about if it goes badly, they think if it goes well. And that brings me to my point. Goddamn. That brings me to my point of my one flashcard here that says, one loss is greater than blowing accounts. So let's talk about it. Let's say you do everything right, you hop on the charts, you take a loss, right? A+ setup, very good. Just maybe you were wrong on the draw on liquidity, or maybe the market's bugging or some shit like that. So you are pissed. You're like, all right, fuck. Like, I got robbed a little bit there. What should I do? Well, two things. One, you could get off, have a specific set one loss P&L. Me personally, I only take one trade a day, one win or one loss, and then I'm off. And you just have to be set with that. Like, okay, whatever, that's fine. That's fine. So, after that happens, there's two types of people. There's the people that get off, like I said, or there's the guy who stays on and goes, but if I take another trade, maybe it'll balance it out. And I always have said, listen, I've seen people, and I've done this myself, take trades and lose, and then be like, I'm not confident in that, and take another trade and win, and then be totally fine, green on the day, break even, shit like that. And that does happen. But over time, I personally, and people feel different ways about this, but personally for my system, I don't think that is a good thing to do for longevity. I think in the long run, you should focus on being disciplined and losing, especially because we risk 1-to-1, losing the same amount as you win every single time. And over time, you're going to win more than you lose. So guess what? I'm not a fucking mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that adds up to positive results and profitability. So let's say you stay on and you take that second trade and it loses. Now, all of a sudden, have you ever been in that case scenario where you start tilting after a loss? You lose and then you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to start taking trades. And then all of a sudden you went from down 200 to down 1,000. I want you to look at yourself and say, when you were down that 1,000, you're probably going to be like, well, damn, maybe being down 200 wasn't too bad, right? Maybe it wasn't bad. It was bad in the moment, but now when you know what actual dog shit drawdown and, bad psych and bad mental feels like, then all of a sudden minus 200 ain't that bad of a day. That's the truth. One loss is always going to be better than blowing your accounts, so take it on the chin, review, journal, see what you did right, see what you did wrong, see how other people who trade your shit did, and then just go on with your day, bro. There's always going to be another day to trade. Like a lot of things that people struggle with is that patience aspect. Like I was talking about with, you're so close to passing the account, you're so close to getting a payout, shit like that. You see me today, I'm about 2 trades away from a $20,000 payout to start out my month, start out my year, which, obviously is a good amount of money. And I took a break even today. And I said, conditions aren't great. This break even was very weird because it was an A+ setup. I took a good trade. I was patient. I waited for it. And I just got break even. And I got off. It was only 10.15, 10.20 or some shit. Not even. And I just got off the charts. because I didn't care about getting a green day and getting closer to that payout, because I know in the long run, if I'm patient and I keep making good trades, taking good setups, doing good shit, I'm going to get the payout and way more over time. So I want you guys to really think about that with today, especially that example, especially because I know a lot of you, basically everybody was in the premium today, by the way. Thank you so much for that, for pulling up for the live trading. I really appreciate it. But, you know, we always think of the goals, we think of the outcomes, and I know, like, you guys are working hard. You guys are watching your videos, you guys are studying. I've been in the same spot of studying, trying to learn this shit as a beginner, and it's tough, and nobody's going to take that away from you. There's no person who's going to be like, trading is a very, very easy thing to make a lot of money out of. Because if it were, then 95% of people wouldn't fail, and so many people would be doing this shit and making racks. But the truth is, once you get past that mental barrier, you can learn the technicals, but once you get past that mental barrier, that's when you really start to expand. You know, like I said with me today, I'm very, very close to a payout, but that doesn't really matter to me. Like that, it's a fact, yeah, I'm close to a payout, but that doesn't mean that every trade I'm taking is in preparation of that payout. I just know, okay, in 2 or 3 trades, whatever the fuck, 2 or 3 winning trades, I'm going to take a payout. That's just another thing that alright, I'll set a reminder. Some shit like that. That's not like oh my god, if I win today, then I make so much money. Like, people are so impatient about that shit, and that's why you tilt, that's why you get in drawdown, that's why you do all this dumb shit. So, now let's get on to some tips, now that we've sort of figured out the reasoning behind why you tilt. You know, it's that fear, it's that greed, it's that impatience. So, obviously the flashcards around the table, the stress ball, are always a good thing. And just keeping in mind, you know, one loss is always going to be better than blowing your account. So having those notes around, having the stress ball is always going to help. And then I made a video about this a bit ago, but taking a walk or doing something physical right when you wake up and right after the trade. Let's talk about it. So what's my morning routine, right? I wake up in the morning around 8:20, about an hour before. I wake up, pray, brush my teeth, wash my face, and then I take my vitamins, and then I will do some form of cardio, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, whether it's a walk or a jog, which it hasn't been as much because it's the winter, it's pretty cold out in the mornings, or what I've been doing lately, which is shadow boxing, you know, like just like boxing in the air and shit like that. I've been doing that for like 10 or 15 minutes, and what I actually noticed about the shadow boxing, this is pretty interesting, is when you're shadowboxing, obviously, you know, you're fighting, like, you know, you got the aggression, shit like that. Like, if you're throwing a fucking overhand on fucking, you know, nothing. The one thing I noticed about that is it kind of gets a bit of aggression out right when you wake up. Yeah, it, like, you know, heightens your senses and gets your central nervous system moving, you know, gets you awake and stuff like that. But what I've noticed is if you're throwing, like, you know, hard, you know, punches at the air and you're working and stuff like that, what I've noticed is you will feel way less anxious and aggressive on the charts. Actual life hack. So try waking up in the morning, washing your face, Jesus Christ. Try waking up an hour before market open, washing your face, you know, brushing your teeth, getting ready, taking your vitamins, maybe eating something if you want. I don't really like to eat before I trade, believe it or not. And then just try doing some sort of cardio, moving around. You cannot expect to be like, all right, it's 9:25. Oh, all right, let's see. Oh, this high Fiji looks good. Like, no, you can't do that shit. Like, you have to be locked. You have to be prepared. I've woken up at 9:28 and gotten on and won trades. That has happened. But it's the same exact shit as if you take a loss and then you take another trade and it wins. That can happen. Anything can fucking happen. You know, you could dunk on a 20-foot... Alright, maybe not that. But anything can happen any day, right? What can't happen long-term is bad habits. You cannot make bad habits into exactly what it is, a habit. You cannot make a bad thing into a habit. So, try that. Try moving around. Try walking, maybe outside or something like that if it's warm out. Or try the shadow boxing to get that aggression out. Anything like that, you always got to do cardio or some form of movement before you get on the charts. So what I like to do is I like to do that cardio and I like to be done around 9:10. And then you know what I do? You know what I do when I get online every single morning? I get online and I do my pre-market analysis. I turn on my TV or I turn on my Spotify on my PC and I listen to some fucking hype-ass music and I get excited to trade because this shit is supposed to be, you know, you doing your own thing. You know, you're having fun. There's a reason why you're trading, and it's so that you can have your own free time, you can have fun, you can do your own shit. Like I said, trading is going to be boring when you're just sitting there watching, chilling on your phone, stuff like that. But that doesn't mean you can't try to have a fun time. You can listen to your music, you can vibe, you can talk. You know, that's why I like when you guys talk in the chat, because I can interact with you guys, and it just lets us all, you know, have something going on when we're waiting for a setup and we're waiting for more analysis. Just have fun. Like, I get up, you know, after I do my cardio, I'm in here and I'll set up and just blast house music. I'll blast rap music. I'll just do whatever the fuck, and I'm analyzing the charts, pre-market, finding my bias, finding draws, and then I go live and I'm hyped with you guys. Like, that. The truth of the matter is, you can really solve your shit by having a very solid routine, being more locked in, focused, awake before you get on the charts, and then just having fun and releasing yourself from the outcome. Obviously, I've made videos about law of detachment. That's a very, very key thing. And you can do that from a religious or just a, like, stoic type of way. The religious way would be, I literally have a tattoo about law of detachment. As you can see, this says Proverbs 16:9. And what that states is, a man plans his path, but the Lord establishes his steps. And what that means is, I could say, like, okay, I want to go and get this payout. I want to do these accounts. Like the videos I made with the prop firm scaling. But at the end of the day, I believe that God is going to determine my path, determine my journey, and determine each step up or down. And I have to just trust in his path and his journey for what's going to happen for me. So that, or you could look at it from a more like, okay, I'm doing the right thing every single day and I'm working very hard, so I'm going to get rewarded at some point. Who knows when that point will be, but you know you're doing the right stuff, you're working hard, you're being disciplined, you have good habits. If you instill good habits, if you have fun, if you work hard, and you keep going with trading, then it's going to be all right. Like I said, my premium has all the resources you need to become profitable. That's just a fact. You have the strategy, you have risk management, you have me mentoring you, you have others who are doing it all with you. What do you think the odds are that, you know, I'm succeeding, a bunch of other dudes in my group are succeeding, and you're not? If you're not, what is it? Is it the technicals? It can't be, because they're taking the same shit and they're winning. It's all because of you. So at the end of the day, remember that you have what it takes to succeed. You have the access to information that can make you succeed. You know what it takes. Just don't be greedy and don't be afraid. Don't be greedy. Don't be afraid. And just look at your notes. Have good habits in the morning and do what you're supposed to do. That's always what it's going to come down to. At the end of the day, you know how to be profitable. You know that over leveraging, over trading, all that shit is bad. You know it is, but you do it because you're afraid of not making it in trading, and you're greedy, you want that money. It's going to come. If you do everything right, it'll happen. Just be patient, enjoy the process, and just have fun. That's why I wanted a small, like-minded group of people in the Discord, because we're all just fucking having fun. Like, we're waking up every day, we're doing the same shit. Win or loss, like, we got to hang out for an hour, you know, who cares? Like, it's just a bunch of dudes just having fun, chilling, and fucking making money. Like, the premium Discord, the reason why I have it is because it's supposed to be for people who all want to achieve the same shit and are all like-minded. You wake up in the morning and you have good habits. Like, you know, if you wake up tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning and you wake up and you do your shadow boxing or you do your cardio and you wash your face and stuff like that, you know somewhere around this world there's going to be me, and then there's going to be others who are doing the same exact shit before we all get on one call. And if that's not like a bonding experience, I don't know what is. And that's just going to make you want to make money with us even more. So that's what I would say about the group. That's what I would say about you versus you. Just remember that others are on this path with you. Others are on that journey. And just keep on being disciplined. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't be greedy. Don't be afraid. And let's make some fucking money. So there's my psych tips for you guys. And I'm going to do another back testing session probably this weekend for you guys. And I'll probably drop another premium education video besides that before the week is over. All right, catch you.